Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We spoke of that influential human field. It is a field, not necessarily like you would think of an electric field. It's a field that is undefinable in size. It's a field that is so influential to you because it is designed as a survival field. And we told you that even the animals that walk the earth have it. It is a survival field, so therefore some of the basic elements of survival are first and foremost and are prime. The human being walks, however, into a new energy, a profound new energy. One where the human being starts to advance in its consciousness and its maturity, advancing into a place where it starts to see itself far differently. It starts to see itself in a way that makes sense, where humans want to be different and want to be with humans, where human beings stop wanting to conquer each other or war with each other, where there's a confluence, you might say, of benevolence beginning on the planet. A true oneness that was never there before. It's slow, dear ones. Very slow. Certain cultures that have never had it will take a lot longer to get there. The cultures who have had it and understand it, that are more open with one another, it will grow even faster. But the entire planet is involved. It's involved to a degree where someday you will all look at one another. And the meetings you will have as countries will be far different. You will all be in this influential field. Now, this influential field, we started by saying, is one that influences you with things that are around it. The fear is a reaction, and is a survival reaction that makes you move away. It saves your life. It is so profound, dear ones, that it even will sense what's coming. And you have been in these situations. The scientists will say, well, we don't understand it, but we've seen it. Where you will actually stop for a while in order not to walk into a situation that you shouldn't have been there for survival. This field is quantum, totally. For it is a sensory field of other quantum energies, and mostly those energies are other human beings. Fields of humans overlap. And this is why so often we speak of these specific attributes as being almost infectious. And that means that with one having it, another will have it, another will have it, even without the primary impetus of what caused it. For instance, one human being or group of human beings start to be afraid of something. Another group starts to come in. They feel the fear. And they're afraid, even though they don't know why. And we've seen this. You've seen this in your cultures. You've seen this in your governments. You've seen the dictators cause it, and those who would run things counting on it. This is primal. Let me talk about another one. Another one which is just as infectious. But remember, these fields go two ways. You can be influenced, and you can also put things into these fields yourself that influence others. Yes, you can put fear to influence others. But we're speaking of something grander than fear. That is primal. That's not what we're talking about. We're starting to talk about elevated consciousnesses. We're talking about maturity and benevolence. And so your other attributes start to show. I want you to turn the page for a moment, which means we're going to change subjects, but we're not. Part of the studies of this planet right now are the studies of something called coherence. Let me define coherence. It is the interlacing of the influential fields. It is the interlacing of the influential fields. And what this means, dear ones, is as the one field around you perhaps is filled with something, another human being will feel it too. And another feeling will happen with another human being, and another, and another, and another. This is coherence. It is starting to be studied as an individual coherence with themselves. But truly, the real coherence is with a human to human, or even group to group, and it even goes further than that. The studies have shown with auditoriums filled with those in coherence with a certain attribute can then affect another auditorium filled with that certain attribute. It's almost again like distance doesn't matter. It's an infectious thing where those will weep with the feelings of benevolence and joy. So let's talk about that. Second attribute. One of the greatest and most helpful and most practical right now on the planet that you could have. The influence of joy. The influence of joy. Oh, we've spoken of this so many times. It is the inner child in each of you that has and contains and retains, if you choose, the feeling of being a child. The feeling of being a child with most of you is that where you have no responsibilities, where the only thing you're concerned about is how long you can play before your parents call you inside, or what you will do. And all those things together, if you're not having fun, you'll invent those to play with you and have fun. The child is constantly ready to play. The child is constantly ready to laugh. And if they're disturbed, they will then have a lower, perhaps, maturity, and they will cry because they don't understand what's happening, but they're quick to recover and play almost immediately. Dear ones, this is joy. This is unbridled joy. You grow up with it. You know what it feels like. You have it. And then you move into that place where you say you're an adult. And of course, it starts to temper with maturity. There are those who would feel and tell you that those childlike things should go away completely. And that as an adult, you should be more serious, take life more serious, be more responsible. And they'll actually say, well, don't giggle as much and don't laugh a lot. Dear ones, that is not even intuitive. Let me tell you something that we have said before. Those who laugh and giggle, the more they do it, the younger they become. I will tell you, it slows down the aging clock. It creates chemistry in that engine of aging, which tempers it completely. The ones who are joyful, dear ones, are healthier. The ones who are joyful are healthier. But what I tell you is this. Joy is infectious, just like fear. Now, in a changing energy on the planet, you're going to find that it's going to be more infectious than fear. And that means that those who laugh a lot and are joyful will affect the others who are as well. Imagine for a moment you being able to influence those around you to the extent that only a few minutes with you will change their attitude of life. Can you imagine such a thing? Simply because you walk around with joy. Now, what does a person look like who walks around with joy? It's not a person who is giggling all the time. It's a person who is satisfied with that which they see in front of them, which is the same thing you see in front of you. It's what happens next. It's about the day. It's about what's going on around them. You see, they're comfortable and joyful with their lives no matter what. That's maturity. That's infectious. When one person who is in trouble or in fear or in anxiety spends time with another who is not, and yet they may have the same situation in life, that's attractive. You're going to look at that person and say, what is it that you have that I cannot have, or I don't have, or I don't understand? And that is your opportunity to open up and tell them about God inside, or perhaps that you have a joy-filled life because you remember your childhood and you bring it from the DNA remembrance, the Akash, whatever you want to call it, into your own life, and you paste it on you every day. You don't have to be childlike to do that. But what you do is you remember, because you lived it, what it's like to be happy, what it's like to be joyful. These are not pretend emotions, because they realize themselves. They realize themselves by habit in your brain. The more you do it, the more your brain, your consciousness will go to that place every day. You see, it's survival. Are you getting the point? If the influential field of a human being is set for survival, what is the thing that will help it survive and stay healthy the most right now? Joy. You ever think of that? There is a video that I will describe to you. We'll call it The Laughing Monk. It's about a man dressed as a monk who get into a subway car in a busy city, and he knows no one in the car. As it proceeds along the tubes from station to station, the monk starts to laugh. He's good at it, almost like he is listening to a comedian, or something uproariously funny has happened in his life, and he's laughing and he's laughing. And those in the subway car who are normally deadpan and have no interest in anything but the next stop, or pondering their poor lives, are taken aback, and pretty soon they're snickering. At first they laugh at him. What a silly man this is, and pretty soon they're laughing with him. By the time he gets off at the last stop, the entire subway car is uproariously laughing. And they get out even laughing. And they have no idea why they're laughing. And as they get out, you see him get back in for the trip to the first station to do it again and again and again. How many people that day has he touched without saying a thing? What starts as something odd becomes something not understandable, but joyful. Joy is infectious. Laughter is infectious. And it saves lives because health starts to improve. That is the influential field of the human being, proven time and time again. When one laughs, many laugh. When one turns on the light, many see. It is survival in this, a mature time. In this, where you're starting to understand a little more about that which is important. In energy, which will support something new. It's time for changes. And that influential field becomes something you didn't expect. I'll tell you more then. But understand this. This quantum field, this influential field is yours. And it is available. All you have to do is feel it, look for it, and create it. For what you do for yourself, others will see. And they'll accept it. More than that, they'll want it. That is the task of the old soul. To create a mature field of peace. So that others around you would have joy, understanding, and a better life. Doesn't have much to do with evangelism or what happens next after you die, does it? It's practical, dear ones. It's what we teach in order for you as human beings to have a better life today on this planet of great change. That is the message we carry. And so it is.